You guys know that, one of the big things about Disney taking over Fox, as far as, genre fans are concerned, is the fact that that means Deadpool is now over at Disney. And the question that we've been asking a lot lately is, what is Disney going to do with Deadpool? And we've been waiting anxiously for them to give us any official word that they're actually going to do anything. I mean, we've all assumed they are. And Alan Horn at CinemaCon all the way back in April confirmed that they're going to do something with Deadpool. But we've been sitting around waiting for almost a year to find out, okay, what are you going to do? Are you going to do anything? Well, at least now we know one thing. According to a number of websites, and this comes to us from our friends over at Joe Blow, Ryan Reynolds has confirmed that Deadpool 3 is actually in development right now. They are actively developing it at Marvel. And he said the following. I'm going to read this down here. You can see it down in the red here. He says, yeah, we're working on it right now with the whole team. Talking about Deadpool 3. We're working on it right now with the whole team. We're over at Marvel Studios now, which is just like the big leagues all of a sudden. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, we're working on it. So there you have it. Ryan Reynolds says Deadpool 3 is in development. Now, it doesn't really surprise any of us that they decided that they're going to actually make a Deadpool 3. I think we all knew they were going to do that, but it's nice to actually hear that the wheels are in motion and that they apparently are now working on it. The question becomes, now, at least now we get to focus on the important question. And the important question, of course, is, what are they going to do with Deadpool? What are they going to do with him? How's he going to turn out? Is it going to be a R-rated Deadpool movie? Are they going to go PG-13? Is it going to be in the MCU? Or is it going to be outside the MCU? And I've always had this philosophy when it comes to Deadpool and what I think they will do with Deadpool and what I think they should with Deadpool. Now look, all the way back in the day, some of you will remember this. All the way back in the day, I believed that you could have done Deadpool PG-13. Now this is before they came out with the first Deadpool. I believed you could, in theory, do Deadpool as a PG-13 film. And I believed you could get away with it. I believed you could do it. And I believed that it would work. I would prefer it R-rated, I thought at the time, but you can do Deadpool PG-13. There is a way to do it and it can work. However, now that Deadpool has been given to the world in all of its R-rated glory, and, very few films need to be R-rated. Deadpool's kind of one of the ones that does. Now that we've gotten a world, now that we live in a world with an R-rated Deadpool, can we just turn around and go back? And I don't know about that. Now, some people might be quick to say to me, but John, they've said a couple of times that they're going to be allowed to be rated R. And absolutely, we've done stories about that on this very show. That people involved with the movie have said that we're going to be allowed to make it rated R. But we've heard studios and people attached to movies before say things like that before and it not turn out. I'm not saying this isn't going to be rated R, but I'm saying just because certain principals involved have said they're going to let us make it rated R doesn't 100% guarantee that it will be rated R. I think it will, but I think we just need to acknowledge it's not a 100% guarantee at this point that it'll be rated R. So that leaves us, I believe, with three options. Now that we know Deadpool is officially in development, it leaves us with, I believe, to be three options. Option number one, it's PG-13 in the MCU. Alan Horn, or not Alan Horn, but Bob Iger, Alan Horn's boss, has said once before that, hey, I'm cool with making things rated R, but if we do, then we got to make sure it's in a separate label. Okay. So there's that. But again, just because he said that one time doesn't mean he can't change his mind. But I still believe that one option on the table is a PG-13 that is in the MCU. A second option that is available is an R-rated Deadpool 3 outside of the MCU. Now, just like Deadpool in the X-Men universe over at Fox, it was sort of outside the X-Men movie anyway. In some meta ways, it was all tied in, but in many ways, it was kind of sitting outside of the X-Men narrative, right? So you could do that with Deadpool. And then maybe you can do that with a separate sort of cinematic universe with R-rated characters. I don't know. It gets all convoluted. The bottom line, though, is there is an option here where you can do a Deadpool 3 R-rated outside of the MCU. The third option on the table, I believe, is an R-rated Deadpool that is inside the MCU. I don't think that's what they're going to do. Bob Iger has seemed to be very insistent that he does not want to confuse his audience base. He doesn't want to confuse his demographic, that he wants people to know that when you come to a Marvel movie, an MCU movie, a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie that's got, that's got Spider-Man in it and it's got the Guardians of the Galaxy in it and has Doctor Strange in it, you're safe as a parent to bring your kid no matter what, because they're going to respect that. And Bob Iger has made comments before that make it really sound that he is very, very strongly in favor of keeping R out of the MCU. But that doesn't mean it can't happen. It doesn't mean Bob Iger can't change his mind. And it doesn't mean that maybe somebody else at Disney can't get in Bob Iger's ear and change his mind. So I believe we're sitting on three options. PG-13 in the MCU, R outside the MCU, or R inside the MCU. You could then say, John, what about PG-13 outside the MCU? They're not going to do Deadpool 3 PG-13 outside of the MCU. So let's be clear about that. So listen, I was so fascinated by this question, I decided to make that the topic of today's question of the day. And the question of the day that I put up on my Twitter account just before we started the show, I asked you guys this question. The question of the day, with Ryan Reynolds confirming Deadpool 3 is now in development at Marvel, but no word as to its rating, how do you think, not how do you want it to turn out, how do you think it will end up? And right now, 17.6% of you are saying that you believe it'll be PG-13 in the MCU. I'm surprised by that. I honestly thought a higher number of you guys, a significantly higher number of you guys, would have thought it would be PG-13 in the MCU, so that's interesting. I'm also surprised by this. The majority of you guys believe that Deadpool 3 will end up as R-rated outside of the MCU. I'm honestly surprised by that. I thought PG in the MCU would get a higher number than 17.6%, but I honestly thought the winner in all this would be R in the MCU, and it's only behind R outside the MCU by this much, but the number of you guys who voted that you think it'll end up as a rated R film in the MCU is 39.7%. So once again, the percentage of you who think it'll be PG-13 in the MCU, 17.8%, R-rated outside of the MCU, 42.5%, or that Deadpool 3 will be an R-rated character that is inside of the MCU, 39.7% of you guys said that. Again, we launched this just before we started the show. 2,600 of you guys have voted on the poll so far. I'll leave that poll up for the rest of the day. And I want to know what you guys think. How do you think this whole thing is going to turn out? Are you excited that they're finally making some movement on Deadpool 3? What do you guys think? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts.